Your boy Ruddle Beast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy. We're here to present you our NBA trade deadline special. If you're new to this channel, please make sure and click the subscribe button below. This way you can watch all of our NBA, NFL, and MLB videos. If you ever want to check out our website at dfscheatsheet.com, you're absolutely missing out. We got all the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out, including a complete optimizer, tons of content, daily FanDuel and DraftKings cash lineups. Hey, we're truly a one-stop shop for all your DFS needs. So make sure and check out the site here at dfscheatsheet.com. So, hey, man, me and Jeremy just wanted to get on here for about a quick 10, 15 minutes, just kind of recap some of the trades that went down today and what kind of daily fantasy sports implications they have on today and the next couple of days. So, yeah, man, there was some stuff that really went down today. I mean, it was a bummer as a Lakers fan that we didn't get Anthony Davis, but there was some exciting trades around the league. So, I mean, I'm ready to jump into these trades. Hey, what up, Jay? How you doing, bro?
Yo, what's up, man?
Not much, bro. Fucking a little disappointed we didn't get AD, but it was a long shot either way. I mean, it is what it is. So, I mean, let's jump on a couple of trades. We'll just kind of start with the timeline. The first trade we'll talk about today is going to be Nicholas Mirotic getting traded to Milwaukee. Milwaukee's already in first place, and they just kind of added some depth and a really good player to their bench. So what do you think about the Mirotic trade?
The first thing I'm going to tell you, bro, is Anthony Davis will be a Laker. It's just going to be July 1st for next season. He's going to go to the Lakers. New Orleans is stupid. There's a theory we use in business called bone and mouth syndrome, and what that means is you ever see a dog carrying a bone in his mouth and he sees a shadow and he drops the bone because he thinks you picked the other one up and then he ends up with no bone? That's right. New Orleans. You take a look at what Boston can offer, and it's going to be centered around Jason Tatum. They cannot do anything. New Orleans wants assurances that Kyrie Irving is not – they're trying to leverage Kyrie, scare Boston that Kyrie Irving is not coming back. And they want assurances that they're not going to re-sign Kyrie. Kyrie's not going to do a damn thing. He's going to do what's best for him. New Orleans is the biggest loser. You're going to see what happens after the deadline. If you look at the picks Boston has, Sacramento made a push.
Bro, we were giving them so much for
but that's now better for the Lakers because the Lakers may be able to put a package together that doesn't give up so many players after July. And some of the draft picks Boston has are tied to how people finish, mainly the Sacramento and Philadelphia picks. They only get one. They only have one of those. On paper, they have two, but they only have one. They have the one that's the better pick. So whoever ends the season with a better record and further in the playoffs, Sacramento or Philadelphia, they get the best pick of those two. They don't have both. So you have no Al Horford you can include. You have no Kyrie Irving you can include. And you got Jason Tatum. And the Lakers have just as many picks as Boston has. So New Orleans is going to be the loser in this. The Mirotic deal, you look, this was a really, really solid deal. And when this deal went down, I thought the Lakers are going to make a play for Anthony Davis because they got 4 second-round picks for Mirotic. I think that Dell Demps did a good job with that trade. He got 4 second-round picks for Mirotic. They clearly are making a plan that Anthony Davis is going to be gone. They're just trying to get the best deal for their franchise. Unfortunately, I think they lost the best deal and now no longer have leverage.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I really, really like the Mirotic trade for Milwaukee. I mean, obviously, the New Orleans is trying to clear house. We've seen that the last couple of days. They might as well should have just traded us Anthony Davis and just kind of move on because now the circus is just going to continue to go, round and round until it finally happens in July. We got to wait a bunch of months now. So, hey, let's just jump to the big – I mean, real quick, actually, before we do jump to the big news, a couple of just little small trades. You had Temple and JaMychal Green traded from Memphis to the Clippers for Avery Bradley. I feel the Clippers are just dumping off a bunch of salary once they let go of Tobias Harris. So, yeah, when we're talking about Memphis, let's just get to the big trade, man. Did you see Marc Gasol going to Toronto?
So, Marcus, I feel your pain, man, because – Charlotte was the ones trying to make the play for Marc Gasol. They were the ones initially engaged in the trade talks when he sat out. And he comes back. We actually said the other night that it was Kyle Lowry and Valanciunas that they had offered up. Clearly, they took Kyle Lowry out of it, and they were able to pull the trade off for Valanciunas and what is it, Norman Powell or CJ Miles and Delon Wright. So that's a steal. They also got a draft pick out of it. I thought some teams made really good moves today. I think that's mutually beneficial for both Memphis and for obviously Toronto. I mean, I don't know how. I think that kind of puts Toronto as maybe the third best team in the East after this deadline's cleared. But that's a really, it gives them a solid guy. Gasol's a really good center.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think that. So okay, so I have a question now. So now you got Marc Gasol, Leonard, and Lowry. And then they still got Serge Ibaka, Siakam, Van Fleet, Danny Green. Do you like Toronto more, or do you like the Sixers more now since they got Tobias Harris?
I think the Sixers on paper have more talent. But let's see how, let's give it 15 games and see how it plays out, right? It's way too early to tell how these guys are going to interact with each other and how they're going to how their chemistry is going to be on the floor. Gasol's a very unselfish player, and he's a good passer and rebounder, and he's a way way better player than Valanciunas is, and I think that you've got a good pick and roll option now and a good kick option with the three players they have in Lowry. It takes stress off Lowry for sure because Gasol can also facilitate through the post, and then Kyrie Leonard can knock shots down from anywhere, and he can also play pick and roll basketball, especially the high pick and roll with Gasol.
Yeah, bro. I really like Toronto now. I mean, so Ibaka's probably gonna go back to the bench, and it's crazy because Ibaka's been playing very, very well. So now they got a really good big guy. There's gonna be a really good 3-man rotation between Ibaka, Siakam, and Marc Gasol. I really, really like that. I mean, Toronto was already really.
I don't think there's any rotation there. I think now they have a true center and a power forward, and I think you're right. Ibaka goes to the bench. I would put Ibaka on the bench, and I would start Siakam.
Right, but what they're going to do is they'll for example they'll Ibaka will come in at power forward for Siakam. He'll play 4 or 5 minutes at power forward. Siakam will come back in, and then they'll just push Ibaka to the center. I think that's going to be the rotation. It's the same kind of rotation that the Pacers have with Sabonis.
Yeah.
Sure. So just one more. I mean, really trade that some people are talking about. So I mean, the 76ers, in my opinion, they're just dumbasses. They have the #1 overall pick last year. They went and got Markelle Fultz, a guy that they were getting criticized for. Absolute. I mean, you know how hard it is. Some teams go 10 years without getting the first overall pick. They got the first overall pick, and they just traded them pretty much for nothing. I mean, in reality, what do you think about the Markelle Fultz trade?
So good for them for cutting ties with a guy they weren't going to play, and they got something for him. They bring back Jonathan Simmons. When healthy, the guy can score the basketball. He's a good scorer. We saw that all the way back to San Antonio. So good for them for moving on. They got something for a guy they weren't going to play, and you have to commend a team anytime they're able to. We've seen Julius Randle is a good example, a really good player who just left. You get something for a guy you don't want. They did a good job with that. I think the Philadelphia 76ers made the best moves. I don't think they're dumbasses by any means. I think that they made really good moves. They are clearly a favorite to come out of the East and go to the finals now. They weren't really before, even though despite the fact they had one of the best home records in the NBA. But and I believe when you talk about the Anthony Davis trade and Markelle Fultz ties into it, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they had that pick from Boston, correct?
I think so.
Right? That was an additional pick that they had gotten from a trade earlier, I believe, with Boston. I think Fultz came to them by way of Boston, and then now they've traded him, and that's, I believe, why Boston has a pick that is the 76ers or King. They have a pick from one of them. They only get one of them.
Okay. I got you. So, hey, moving on. I mean, those are really one more thing I'll just quickly mention. I know the trade deadline's over, but there's a lot of teams that are still, looking to. There's going to be a lot of players that are going to get bought out of their contracts, and there's going to be a lot of unrestricted free agents that teams are going to be able to pick up. And it's Cancer. There's a couple other, solid names out there.
Robin Lopez was bought out by the Bulls.
Yeah, Robin Lopez, Wayne Ellington is looking like he's going to get bought out.
Wesley Matthews.
Yeah, Wesley Matthews. There's a lot of stuff. So I mean, even though the deadline's over, there's still going to be some guys on the move. So real quick, just to kind of touch bases, I'm going to move back to our website DFS cheat sheet, and let's just go over a couple of the teams that made trades today and the implications on tonight's NBA slate. To make it easy, I mean, it's pretty much the first game of the night. No, I'm sorry. We'll start with the Clippers first, just because that they start earlier, and we'll work our way through Toronto, Memphis, the Lakers as well. So what do you think as far as the Clippers side of things tonight?
So look, Lou Williams is the first spot that I'm going to look at 8.2. I was really down on this because of the fact that he was 8.2 last night when we did the video. But today, with the trade moves they've made, getting rid of Avery Bradley, some other stuff they've done, you have to like Lou Williams at 8.2. You just have to, because they're short. The guy that's probably the biggest beneficiary of this is going to be Sindarius Thornwell at 3.5. Thornwell should start and should get extended minutes today. And then you have to look at Harrell at 8,000 playing center. The only problem I have with it is it's against Miles Turner, and I don't really think that people understand how big Miles Turner is. He's enormous, and he blocks a ton of shots. So I like Harrell when he's able to kind of be a bully. Miles Turner is a little bit of a bully himself because he's so big. I mean, the guy's like a wall himself with trying to get shots up, and he gets a lot of rebounds over the top of people. So, to me, I think Thornwell is probably the best drop spot play for the Clippers at 3.5. And then you really have to look at Lou Williams. Who's the other ball handler that they have here? I mean, they've waived guys. They waived Tadosewicz. We saw that coming a mile away, but he would have been a guy that I would have liked today, given the fact of where their roster's at, because of the ball handler. Patrick Beverly, these guys can't play 48 minutes. So, it's a shorter rotation, short amount of players. I think Thornwell is the biggest beneficiary.
Yeah, no, I like Thornwell. I like Patrick Beverly as well. I think he's going to play. I mean, they will play Patrick Beverly 36 minutes if they have.
Absolutely, they will. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
And his price actually dropped a couple hundred from last game, and he didn't even have that bad of a game. So I think that the Patrick Beverly is really intriguing at 5,000. You touch bases on everybody else I was looking at. The only other guy I want to mention, this guy Jonathan Motley. He's bare minimum price tag. They called him up from the G League. He might get some minutes today. And this is a guy, he's a very, very active player. If he's going to get, 15, 20 minutes just because they're so short rotation as far as big guys. And I definitely think that he can have a solid game here as well. But outside of that, I mean, that's really where I'm at.
Jerome Robinson is another guy I forgot to mention. But Jerome Robinson at 3.5, you could, there's a point guard drop spot. He's played as many as 17 minutes just a few days ago against Toronto. He's played 14 minutes, 17 minutes. He's played as little as 6, but he's also a guy they called up as well. So he's a guy that's another beneficiary.
I mean, now that we're an hour and a half past the trade deadline, we're going to start getting some more news as far as who's going to play what, etc. on these couple teams. Next, we're going to move on to the next game. We're going to talk about the Toronto side of things. Is anybody jumping out to you as far as tonight's slate, etc.?
Yeah, I think the spread's already dropped, right? And that's because of the amount of players that they have, that Toronto has available. And I think Kawhi's fine at his price tag of 10-1. Van Vliet, clearly, probably the best value play at point guard today because, one, they're short. Delon Wright's gone. CJ Miles gone. And two, Kyle Lowry, we mentioned it last night, the guy's back is not getting better. It's nothing structural. It's more muscular, and it's not getting better. So, even if Lowry plays, his minutes have been diminished a little bit. He's not playing more than 30 minutes.
Yeah. We actually have him, not in the starting lineup today. So, I mean,
right.
we may have some news is coming out that hasn't come out yet that our system already picked up on. So that's something to definitely.
So there's 10 guys here, all right, that are available, and Lowry's one of them. If perhaps Lowry doesn't play, they've got 9 guys available, and I would look for the spread to maybe come down a couple more points and maybe be closer to 6.5 or 7. And I think this is a basketball game, and if that's the case, you've got to like their entire starting lineup. You just have to.
Sure.
You could even like a Patrick McCaw and Norman Powell, but I think McCaw at the shooting guard position, there's a couple of other guys that I like a lot better at the same price, Thornwell being one of them.
Yeah, on tonight's slate, especially if Lowry's out, but even if he's not out, I think Van Fleet at a 4.5 price tag is probably the biggest beneficiary for today's actual slate.
Absolutely.
Moving on, next game, we're going to quickly just talk about the Memphis side of things going against OKC tonight. This is looks. I mean, they're projecting it to be a blowout. They just lost arguably their best player. I mean, all they really have is Mike Conley. Rab, his price has jumped up big time. What do you think about the Memphis guys with Marc Gasol out now?
Let's wait and see what happens with Joakim Noah. I know Kyle Anderson is listed as a game time decision. However, Kyle Anderson said he could play if needed if they're short, and I have to believe that was a case of if they trade both Conley and Gasol, that Kyle Anderson would play. I look for him to be ruled out. Noah's an interesting play because if Noah does play, I think Noah would go into the starting lineup, and at 3.7 starting at center, going to get a full complement of minutes. That would be a really good play on a guy who can really rebound the basketball. And he's a solid player. Joakim Noah is a solid player. He just has a funky shooting motion and shoots weird free throws.
Honestly, if we got news before lock that Noah was going to start and play 20 to 25 minutes, you just lock him in and move on. I mean, he, like you mentioned it, he's not a guy that really scores, but I mean, he does a little bit of everything. Rebounds, he's a pretty good passer. He'll get you some defensive stats. If he's going to play 20, 25 minutes, I can easily see a 25, 30 fantasy point outing, which would be really, really good on this 3.7 price tag for sure. Yeah, man. So I mean, that's really what the Grizzlies.
I'll tell you a couple of other guys too. I mean, I think we have to talk about the Lakers just a tad because of the fact that Zubac is gone, and he was eating up minutes. But one guy I want you to look at is Julian Washburn. He should start tonight, and if Washburn starts, he played 31 minutes against Minnesota. I think this is a premier play at small forward. You can literally the night is shaping up to literally be a stars and scrubs night for the simple fact that there's pretty much a guy at 3.5 at just about every position that's going to see starter minutes tonight. And that makes it a little bit of a scarier slate.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think tonight is a strictly GPP slate. Just really what it comes down to. On the Lakers side of things, one guy that I'm really, really like. I mean, they really didn't do too many moves. They did little small things here and there. But I mean, it's the same cast of characters. One guy, that I think is really affected by the trade deadline that's going to help out is going to be JaVale McGee. They were kind of doing the Zubac start kind of thing, and then they had McGee and they had Tyson Chandler. I expect JaVale McGee to definitely get back into that starting lineup tonight with Zubac gone. And he's a very fair price tag. He's a guy that he's what? I think he was, he's 4.6. I mean, you need 22, 23 for value. This guy was already getting close to paying off this price tag when he was splitting minutes between everybody else. And now if he's going to be the guy that's going to be playing 25, 26 minutes, then I really like McGee in this spot as well.
Bro, I think, okay, so you lost Beasley, right? You lost Zubac. You lost Madinsky or whatever his name was, who was getting run, right? You lost three guys there. Lonzo Ball is not playing. So a couple of guys I think are big beneficiaries of this are Josh Hart and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. And at 3.8 and 3.6 respectively, I love these two guys. I also love Rondo. I think that, a few Lakers have already put stuff on Instagram and on Twitter that, they didn't get traded in. I think that a big relief comes off them, and I think this team comes out. Right. There's a lot going on with the Lakers. Obviously, we know that. But there's stuff, with LeBron, the picture of LeBron by himself, and then everybody like 4 seats between him and the rest of the team. I think that, LeBron is elite. He does have good leadership. I think he can rally these guys together. Rondo's a very good leader as well. I think they say, you know what? Look, it's over. You guys are young. Let's go play basketball and go make the playoffs. And I could see a Kuzma at 5.4 having a good game. I could see Josh Hart or Pope also having good games. LeBron and Rondo as well. I think that it's over, right? Yeah. It's all over. The roster's a little shorter because, they're not going to have Muscala. They're not going to have Bullock. But they do have Josh Hart. And Josh Hart's a bit of a dog too, right? So I think there's good value with the Lakers as well.
Yeah, one guy I do want to throw in is I like Brandon Ingram too, 5.7. Him and Kuzma, they're underpriced right now, and they've been playing. They haven't been playing the best, but like you mentioned it, I mean, these guys every single day for the past 2 weeks, they've been hearing that they're going to get traded. They're going to get traded. What do you think is going on in these guys' heads? Like they can't even concentrate and focus on basketball because they're hearing all this stuff in the background. So I really like Ingram. I like Kuzma.
We talked about it yesterday with Ingram. He's just 21 years old, man. Like he's just a baby. Like he's still 21. And I think the best news here for a Lakers fan is I think that you're gonna get Anthony Davis now. You're still gonna get Anthony Davis because I don't think Boston can put a package together that is better than what the Lakers can. And I think that they get to keep Ingram and Kyle Kuzma. I think the guy that's gonna get gone is gonna be Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball's gone. I think Lonzo Ball is gone.
Yeah, so real quick, I'm ready to get up out of here. We pretty much touched on everything as far as trade-wise and how it affects tonight. One last thing I just quickly wanted to throw out there. I just thought it was so funny. You had LeVar Ball going on one of the ESPN shows today, and he went on the Disputed, and he with a straight face.
Oh, on Fox.
Yeah, on Fox, the Undisputed with Shannon Sharp, and he looked at Shannon Sharp directly in his face, man to man, and told Shannon Sharp that Lonzo is better than LeBron James. I just thought that was so hilarious. Like whatever this guy's on, man, hey, he got to share it with some people because that's some crazy stuff.
I think. Look, I'm happy that. I would be a lot happier if we got Anthony Davis today, but I'm happy with the way that it worked out. I think the Lakers did some really good things, and they did back up Luke Walton by getting rid of Michael Beasley. And I think that they're going to back up Luke Walton and they're going to get rid of Lonzo Ball. LeVar Ball has been nothing but, I don't know if you heard him on ESPN, but he told, I believe, Stephen A. Smith that Luke Walton's a loser. That he's a loser, that he has a losing mentality. He's nothing but a loser. I mean, this is a guy who the Lakers won 71 games with Luke Walton as their coach. Luke Walton's won NBA championships. Luke Walton is not a loser. So I think that you can't have that on your team or in your locker room or around your team. I think that he's gone, man. LeVar Ball's a joke. Yeah, he actually in that same conversation said, I gave the Lakers a chance to get all three of my boys and win a title. Like that you get – he said all three of my kids in Laker uniforms, and you got a title.
Well, Jello's not even gonna make the NBA. Melo's gonna make it, but he still is a couple years away. Yeah, LeVar Ball is just a joke. It is what it is. But hey, man, that's all that we got for you guys, man. Thank you very, very much for tuning into this. We just wanted to quickly, do a quick breakdown of the trades that went down today and kind of how it implements tonight's DFS slate. I will be back shortly with my NBA core plays for today, so make sure and stay tuned. I will be back in about 10 minutes with that. And yeah, man, hey, we got a lot of exciting stuff. Like Jeremy said, tonight's gonna probably definitely be a stars and scrubs kind of night. So I honestly recommend staying away from cash games. Just throw in some GPPs, have a little fun, and just kind of move about your business. But hey, if you haven't already, make sure to check out the site dfscheatsheet.com. Play the actual lineups that we're playing every single night. There's a lot of things that you can do. So check it out. Good later, guys.